والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Islam 101.
Bismillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillahi amma ba'du. Welcome once again to another episode of Islam 101, and I'm your host Abu Usamah Adh Dhahabi. To my right we have Brother Jamil, who's from the US. To his immediate right we have Brother Nur al-Islam, who is from Malaysia, who is from Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia. And to my left we have Brother Muhammad from Afghanistan, and our Brother Ahmed, who's from Egypt. Today, inshallah, brothers, we're going to deal with the issue of the madhahibs in al-Islam, the madhahib, or the madhabs. And the translation of the madhab is the school of thought, the school of thought. The word madhab comes from the verb dhahaba, which means to go, he went. So the madhab is the way in which a person is going about understanding his religion as it relates to the fiqh of the deen, the fiqh of the religion. There are four major accepted madhabs, four major schools of thought in al-Islam. They are, number one, the school of thought that is called al-Hanafi, the Hanafi school of thought. Most people are in Pakistan and India. Many of them are in Egypt. Some of them are in Syria. The Hanafi way of thought. The second one is the Maliki, and they're in different parts of Africa, North Africa and West Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, in places like Nigeria, and Sudan even. And then we have the third madhab, which is the madhab of Ash-Shafi'i. And the Shafi'is are in Indonesia, they're in Malaysia, and other parts of Far East Asia, as well as they're in certain parts of Sham, like Jordan, Ash-Shafi'i. And the fourth and final madhab is the madhab of Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal, the Hanbali madhab. That's in the Gulf states, especially in Saudi Arabia, and other than that. These are the four major madhabs in al-Islam that are recognized, and they're mu'tabara. They're recognized and accepted by the Muslims. But it should be understood, ikhwani, as students of knowledge, people who are enlightened, people who are reading, that there were more than these four madhabs. And some of the madhabs that are not here anymore, they were even stronger and better than the four madhabs, which go to show and prove that a person does not necessarily have to have a madhab, and he's an okay Muslim. But if a person has a madhab, and he's following his madhab, but whenever his madhab is wrong, the truth comes, he's on his madhab because it's a systematic way of knowing what to do and what not to do. But whenever the madhab gets it wrong, that individual takes the truth and he hangs on to the madhab. Then there's no problem with that. So you can have a madhab, especially if you have someone teaching you that madhab and he's qualified. Or you could be a Muslim without a madhab, because as I mentioned, there are certain madhabs that are stronger than the madhabs that we have today. Just for your information, FYI, for your information, some of the madhabs of the past that were the same or even better than the madhabs that we have, the four madhabs, is the madhab of an Imam al-Layth ibn Sa'd, who was an Egyptian scholar, and he was more knowledgeable, or just as knowledgeable, as the leaders of these four madhabs. He was a tremendous scholar in al-Islam, as well as the famous Mufassir of the Quran, the one who explained the Quran. He brought the Quran together, and it is the granddaddy of the tafsir of the Quran. Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari, his madhab was better than the four madhabs that we know. But one of the reasons why his madhab was lost, why it went away, is because he prevented his students from writing. He didn't want his words to be recorded as if people were going to follow his way, as if his madhab contained all of al-Islam. So that's one of the reasons why his madhab went away. Another example of a madhab that was present during the past is the madhab of an Imam Sufyan ibn Sa'id ibn Masruq al-Thawri. Sufyan al-Thawri. He was more knowledgeable than those four Imams, and they used to say that their own selves. And Imam Sufyan al-Thawri was from Kufa, the same place where Imam Abu Hanifa was from. And Sufyan al-Thawri's madhab was a tremendous madhab. He again also prevented and prohibited his students from writing his madhab. And his students neglected him as well. From those madhabs is the tremendous Imam of al-Islam that I wish we dedicate a segment to his history and his story. And that is the madhab of the Amir al-Mu'minin in the Hadith. The Shaykh al-Islam, al-Imam Ishaq ibn Ibrahim Rahuya, rahimahullah ta'ala. He was the Shaykh, the teacher of al-Imam al-Bukhari. He was the teacher of al-Imam Ahmed. Tremendous scholar in al-Islam. He had a madhab as well. And other than them, there is one madhab that many people don't give it the consideration and the respect that it deserves in al-Islam, even though their madhab today should be a considered madhab. And that is the madhab of al-Imam Shaykh al-Islam Dawood ibn Ali Adh Dhahabi. And along with him is the one who gave life to his madhab after it almost died out, al-Imam Ibn Hazm, rahimahumullah ta'ala. All of those are from the respected and recognized madhabs or schools of thought in al-Islam. Anyone who gets a qualified teacher to teach him the basic fundamentals of each madhab, because all the school of thought was and was a systematic way to teach the student how to go about understanding the fiqh of al-Islam, the fundamentals of the madhab, that we take the Quran first, and then we take the authentic sunnah after that, and then we take the ijma' or the consensus of the scholars after that, and then we take after that the qiyas, and then we take after that the statement of the companion, and then we take after that al-istihsan, and on and on. And then some madhabs will put this one before that one, and that's where the issues of ikhtilaf or differences started. So all of the madhabs are recognized, all of the madhabs have good in them, and all of the imams, all of the leaders of all of the madhabs in al-Islam, each and every one of them told their students, do not blindly follow me. If you see in my madhab what goes against the Quran and the Sunnah, then take the Quran and take the Sunnah and leave my madhab. Al-Imam Malik, for an example, he said, may Allah have mercy upon him, every human being, his statement is either accepted or rejected, except the one who's living in that, who's buried in that grave. He used to teach in Medina, in the Rawda. And that grave he was referring to was the grave of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So every imam of the madhab said words similar to this. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, for an example, two of his prolific students, Al-Imam Abu Yusuf and his other student, Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, two tremendous scholars of their madhab, who went against a third of the madhab of Al-Imam Malik, Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, because they had an opportunity to meet Al-Imam Malik, they had an opportunity to meet Al-Imam Shafi, they had an opportunity to meet other imams of the madhabs. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa said to Abu Yusuf, woe unto you, Yaqub, his name was Yaqub, woe unto you. Do you write everything that I say? I'm just a human being like you. Today I take a position, tomorrow I take another position. Take from where I take from. You take from where I take from the Quran and the Sunnah. So they didn't allow people to go against what Allah and His Messenger said when it was clear. Al-Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, may Allah have mercy upon him. He was asked a question about the religion, and he gave the answer. The man who asked the question said, Ya Imam, is that the position that you took? Is that your position? Al-Imam Ahmed, Al-Imam al-Shafi'i said, what do you mean, is that my position? You asked me a question, I gave you the answer. Do you see me coming out of a synagogue? Do you see me wearing the belt of the Christians? You ask me something about the religion, and I tell you Allah said and His Messenger said, and you ask me, is that my madhab? Is that what I take? He said, of course that's what I take. How can I be other than that? The one who the Quran comes to him and the Sunnah comes to him, but he's going to take the statement of someone else? How is that? Abdullah ibn Abbas, the companion of Rasulullah, he knew that the Prophet, there are three types of Hajj that you can make as a Muslim. We don't have time to get into that. Rasulullah made the Hajj that is called al-Mufrad. The Hajj that is called al-Mufrad, where the person stays in his ihram. But Rasulullah said after making Hajj, if I knew before what I know now, I would have made a tamattu'. A tamattu' is the best Hajj. That's the Hajj where the person goes, he makes Umrah, and then he takes his ihram off, and he has a tamatta, istimta'. He's enjoying himself in Mecca, and then he puts the ihram back on. So that's the best Hajj. They asked Abdullah ibn Abbas, what's the best Hajj? He told them it is a tamattu'. The people say, yeah, but Abu Bakr and Umar, they did this and that. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, I'm going to run away from this place. I tell you Rasulullah said something, and you tell me Abu Bakr and Umar? I'm afraid that Allah is going to pelt you people with rocks from the sky. I'm going to get out of here. So if he said that about Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu, then what about anyone from the illustrious and tremendous Imams in al-Islam? I want to share with you, brothers, a very important point, that you have to remember this point as it relates to the madhabs. You have to remember this point. All of the madhabs, these four madhabs, are in agreement upon something that's incorrect. It's incorrect because the Quran and the Sunnah shows us it's incorrect. And that is the issue of the man divorcing his wife 3 times in one sitting. Each madhab says, if a man says to his wife in the same sitting, you're divorced, you're divorced, you're divorced, each madhab says that that is 3 divorces. But in Sahih al-Bukhari, in the book of At-Talaq, in the chapter of divorce, Al-Imam al-Bukhari brings the authentic hadith that during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if a man said to his wife, you're divorced, you're divorced, you're divorced 3 times, Rasulullah considered it 1 divorce. And then during the time of Abu Bakr, if a man said, you're divorced, you're divorced, you're divorced, Abu Bakr would consider it 1 divorce. And then during the time in the Khilaf of Umar radiallahu anhu, when Islam was spreading through the 4 corners of the world, Umar started to legislate certain things because he's the Khalifa. And he's the one that Rasulullah said, alaykum bis sunnati wa sunnati al-khulafa ar-rashideen mahdiyyin min ba'di. Take the sunnah of the khulafa ar-rashideen. Umar is from the ulama of this religion. When the Muslims started marrying multiple women and they started playing with the divorce, a man would get married, you're divorced, you're divorced, you're divorced, and then go to another woman. You're divorced, you're divorced, you're divorced, and go to another one. You're divorced, you're divorced, you're... So Umar radiallahu anhu took his position as the Khalifa and he said, anyone who divorces his wife 3 times in one setting, I'm going to make it happen as 3. So he used it as a deterrent. So the madhabs, they kept the position of Umar radiallahu anhu. Now, I'm not going to say the position of Umar is wrong. I'm not going to say that. If the variables are present, that were present during the time of Umar, then that's what should be used. But if the variables are not present, then we go back to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just like the adhan for the Friday prayer. During the time of Rasulullah, there was only 1 adhan. When Rasulullah came to the minbar and he said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, the people would make the adhan. And then he would start the khutbah. Abu Bakr, the same thing. Umar, the same thing. And then during the time of Uthman, when there were many Muslims, Uthman made 2 adhans. One in the marketplace, because there were so many Muslims, and one inside of the masjid when the imam came out. So why should we have 2 adhans today? No, we don't have 2 adhans unless the same variables are present. So we're going to stop here, inshallah, and then we'll come back, and we'll have the participation of our respected students, inshallah. So come back.
Islam 101.
What do parents want from their teens?
In the current times, I think that that's not what's so. I think that young people are very unique.
You tell them right, they say no, it's left.
A lot of time amongst ages, 14 to 20 are spent on the computer and TV.
Everyone has a good side and a bad side, and the peers really play on these.
If you want to live by the Sunnah, you're going to be different than everybody else in the society, even other Muslims.
Physically and financially able to get married, they should get married. This is what the Sunnah tells us.
And please do not let this type of gang life go any farther.
We're attempting to bridge the gap that seems to be growing more and more every day.
Islam 101.
Alhamdulillah, welcome back to Islam 101, where we've been discussing the issues of the madhabs, the four schools of thought in al-Islam, and how it is permissible to have a madhab. And we have to stay on the sirat al-mustaqim concerning this. There's one extreme that says, if you don't have a madhab, then there's something wrong with your Islam. Al-Imam al-Bukhari didn't have a madhab. Al-Imam Muslim didn't have a madhab. Al-Imam Abu Dawood didn't have a madhab. Tremendous scholars of al-Islam, they didn't have madhabs. The other extreme is, the person who has a madhab, then this is an innovation. No. Al-Imam Abdullah ibn Ahmed had a madhab, the madhab of his father. Al-Imam ibn Rajab had a madhab. Al-Imam al-Hafidh ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. These people had madhabs. So those are extremes. To say you must have a madhab or you can have a madhab. We have to stay in the middle. It's permissible to have a madhab, but if you have a madhab, whenever the truth comes to you and it's against the madhab, put the madhab and that issue on the side. If you have a madhab and the truth comes to you, follow your madhab. And that's why we say that Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, he was right in all of his madhab. He was right in everything, even in those things that he made mistakes in, rahimahullah. Because when he was asked what was his madhab, he said, rahimahullah ta'ala, إِذَا صَحَّ الْحَدِيث فَهُوَ مَذْهَبِي. If the hadith is authentic, then that's my madhab. So if I know that Imam Abu Hanifa made a mistake in a particular issue, I say, this hadith that goes against his madhab, had he known it or realized it, he would have taken it. Because he said, if the hadith is authentic, it's my madhab. They used to tell us things like this. If you see that my statement goes against the Quran and the Sunnah, then take my statement and throw it against the wall, and take the statement of Allah and the statement of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we're going to deal with the questions now, starting with my brother Noor al-Islam. Tafadhal akhi Noor.
Is it permissible for us to follow more than one madhab? In a different case, of course. For example, in ablution, we follow Al-Imam al-Shafi'i, and in prayer, we follow Al-Imam Ahmad. Is it permissible? Or?
Is it permissible to follow the different madhabs in different masail, or in different issues? In the case of ablution, I'm going to follow the Hanbali madhab. In the case of how I pray, I'm going to follow the Hanafi madhab. In the way that I perform Hajj, I'm going to practice the Shafi, and so forth and so on. Yes, it's permissible. And if someone says that it's not permissible, they have to bring the proof. Because you don't have to have a madhab in the first place. And second of all, if that is what you feel is that's the truth to you, then it's permissible. But I would say it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to be a person who's thorough and prolific as it relates to knowing all of the aqwal, all of the statements of the madhab. If a person has the ability to do that, then he would almost be like a mujtahid. He would almost be like a mujtahid. Or he would be able to get on one particular madhab, and he would be able to choose what is the best madhab overall for him. But if a person is on a madhab, for an example, but he says, in this issue, their madhab seems to be stronger to me, so he follows that madhab in that issue, then that's permissible. As for the fawda or the confusion of just bouncing all around, I wouldn't advise that. I wouldn't advise that. But try to be a Muslim who takes from where those people of the madhabs took from. Take the haqq, the truth, wherever it comes from. Akhi, Jamil.
What is the madhab as-Salafi? And is it the middle course?
Concerning the madhab as-Salafi, we don't like to call it a madhab like that. Linguistically, the madhab is the way. So the way of the Salaf, the tariqah, or the way of the Salaf, the way that is a Salafi in that sense, then that is simply the way of the companions. It's not a madhab, it's not a group in terms of it has a leader, has a murshid, has an imam. It's not like that. It is just the concept of understanding the Quran and the Sunnah, the way the companions understood the Quran and the Sunnah. That is a Salafiyah. It's nothing more than that. It is the way of the righteous predecessors, and it's been established in the Quran and in the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And all of the four madhabs and the other madhabs that we mentioned in this broadcast, in this program, they were the madahib of the Salaf, the schools of thoughts of the righteous predecessors, all of them. A Salafiyah is not over here and they're over here. No, they are our righteous predecessors. Akhi Muhammad.
My comment is that the most tremendous scholars of Islam says that the difference in thoughts in schools of thought is a mercy. So could you please shed a light on this statement?
Concerning what some of the people say, that the ikhtilaf or the differences that exist between the ummah, like the madhabs, and other than that, that this is a mercy. Actually, there is a hadith that says, ikhtilaf ummati rahmah. The differences that my ummah has between themselves is a mercy. This hadith is not authentic. It's a fabricated hadith. It's not authentic. And plus it goes against the Quran itself. Allah has mentioned al-ikhtilaf and differences, and He made it unpraiseworthy in so many ayahs of the Quran. One ayah in particular that goes against this particular hadith clearly, and it establishes and it shows that ikhtilaf is not a mercy, is a statement of Allah in Surah Hud, in the end of Surah Hud. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُمْ. They will not cease, Ya Muhammad, to be divided amongst themselves. The people will remain divided amongst themselves, except the ones who Allah had mercy for. And that's what they created them for, to be united. They will not cease to be divided. They will remain that way, except the ones who Allah had mercy on. So this ayah shows that the rahmah of Allah is in the jama'ah, in being united, and it is not in being divided. When we're divided, our power goes away, and we become weak. And there was a time when the madhabs used to do what? At the Grand Mosque, the sacred mosque in Mecca, the Muslims would pray 4 prayers, 4 jama'ah, 4 community prayers for each salah. The people who were on the Maliki madhab would pray the Dhuhr prayer at one time, and then they'll go home. And then the people on the Shafi madhab would pray the same prayer, and then they'll go home. Then the other 2 madhabs will come every day. That's how it was. They were divided amongst themselves. But the richness of the religion and the multiple ways of understanding the kalam, the speech of Allah and His Messenger, it has room for ikhtilaf. It has room for different interpretations. And from this angle, it is a mercy. From the angle of this particular scholar understood this issue this way, and that understanding is acceptable. And then that scholar understood the same issue another way, like the statement of Rasulullah, do not anyone, لا يُسَلِّيَنَّ أَحَدُكُمْ الْعَصْرَ إِلَّا فِي بَنِي قُرَيْظَةَ. No one should pray Asr prayer except at the place of Bani Qurayza. 2 sides of the companions understood it differently. One side said, that means even if the prayer comes, we can't pray, we have to go and pray over there. The other group of people said, no, he was trying to tell us to hurry up and get there. But now that the salat time is here, we must stop and pray. So the community divided itself. Those people kept going and those people remained behind. When they told the Prophet about what transpired, he didn't say, you guys were right, you guys were wrong. He couldn't say anything, and he didn't say anything because both sides understood his speech. And they had an understanding or mafhum that was muhtamil, an understanding that is acceptable. So the ikhtilaf of the ummah, the differences, is not a rahmah. It is an adab. And that's why we have to be Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the people of the Sunnah and the people of the group of Muslims trying to be together. But those differences that are allowed under the umbrella of Islam, we don't hate and love each other on those issues. From that angle, it could be a mercy from that angle. Akhi Ahmed.
Okay, we are talking now about the school of thoughts. And you said that they are 4. Al-Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali. So what are the advantages and the disadvantages of that variety of numbers?
And similar to the question of Brother Muhammad, from the advantages of the multiple madhabs that we have, again, it shows the richness of Islam. One of the main advantages is that if a person is only taken from his madhab and his madhab alone, then that means that his religion is going to be naqis. His religion is going to be deficient. Because no madhab contains all of Islam. All of Islam is contained when you bring all of the madhabs together. So that variety from the disadvantages is, if a person says, I'm only taking my madhab, and he's muta'assib, He's saying in essence, I'm only going to take the religion that is incomplete. And very quickly, I want to share with you guys this incident that happened with Imam Malik. Imam Malik was one of the most knowledgeable of the 4 Imams, no doubt. And he was there in Medina. And because he was in Medina, his knowledge of the religion was close to the source of Rasulullah. Qiyas, he didn't use that much. And when he did, he used the proper qiyas. But he was there in Medina where it was the source of the revelation, and the companions were there. The leader of the Muslims during his time was a man by the name of Al-Mansur. Al-Mansur, As-Saffah, used to be serious. His sword was serious. He told Imam Malik, Ya Imam Malik, we want to make your madhab and your book, the Muwatta, we want to make it the Dastur. We want to make it the book to rule the Islamic empire. We're going to make your book rule over all other madhabs, and we'll order the people. You get married, you get divorced based upon Malik's book, Al-Muwatta. What do you think? Al-Imam Malik said, La ya Amirul Mu'mineen, no way. He said, because there's not a human being except some of the Sunnah passed him by. My book does not contain all of Al-Islam. Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu, they were who they were in Al-Islam. But they didn't know everything about Al-Islam. The man, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, came to Umar's house, knocked on the door 3 times. No one answered. The man went away. When Umar saw him later on, Umar said, hey, why did you leave? Why didn't you stay? Abu Musa said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I heard Rasulullah say, إِذَا اسْتَأْذَنَ أَحَدُكُمْ ثَلَاثًا فَلَنْ يُؤْذِنْ لَهُ فَلْيَنْصَرِفْ. Anyone who knocks 3 times, if the door's not open, go away. Umar said, I never heard that hadith. If you don't bring me proof, I'm going to deal with you. Akhi, today, everyone sitting here has knocked on a door. We do that every day. We knock on people's door. In the business, in the office, at home, someone else's house, inside your own house, you want to knock on someone's door. How was it that Umar, with all of that knowledge, didn't know that particular easy sunnah? How? Because everybody, the sunnah, some part of Islam has missed him. When the man died, the grandmother died, or the man died, the deceased died, the grandmother of the deceased came to Abu Bakr and said, Abu Bakr, I want my inheritance. Abu Bakr said, I don't know that the jidda, the grandmother, gets any reward, anything. One of the companions said, yes, she does. So if it passed them, it's going to pass all of the others. We have to stop now, inshallah, concerning the issue of the madhahib al-Islam. Hope to see you, inshallah, in the upcoming episode of Islam 101. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Islam